first story. What's up?
Yeah, I do. Let's go to Hong Kong. We're going to talk about interactive brokers setting up a institutional offering over in Hong Kong. This is rolling out Bitcoin and ETH trading to professional investors over in Hong Kong. And I think it really speaks to the shifting geographical landscape, especially in Asia, where the mood around crypto is a little bit less dour than it is over here in North America. Obviously, with these recent SEC actions, the mood in American crypto is a bit dark. That said, over in Hong Kong, we're seeing an institutional product roll out, in addition to some other interesting developments relating to retail. So a couple things to talk about. I think Hong Kong obviously has been maybe making a play for some of its former glory as it was like kind of one of the original Asian crypto capitals. Lost a little bit of that shine to Singapore. But even beyond that, Korea, Japan, there's still a lot of excitement in those markets, while over in the West, things are a bit bleak. So again, let's go to Hong Kong, talk about the situation there.
Definitely a very important part of the crypto ecosystem, and it has been for quite a while. A lot of trading firms set up there, a lot of different legal entities running out of Hong Kong. Hasn't really been in the spotlight the last few years, though. A lot of eyes have been on the United States or Western Europe. That's been where a lot of the developers have been. That's where a lot of the action has been. Obviously, we are living in a new regulatory regime with crypto as well. Zach was just mentioning the SEC stuff. So I think people are going to start looking internationally, and I think Hong Kong is a strong contender for where people might look towards because it has strong government, it has clear rule of law, and there's a lot of capital there, right? Like it's a highly developed country. So oftentimes we do talk about other jurisdictions on the show that might be an interesting place for crypto to go, but oftentimes those places are still, they're building into it. Hong Kong really has a lead on a lot of other jurisdictions. We saw some other reports from Reuters this week talking about how they might open up more crypto trading to retail in that country. So definitely some highlights there. The one thing I do want to draw back here, maybe throw it over to you, Jen, and maybe if we get Zach back.
I'm the only one you can throw to.
Well, I guess maybe we'll get Zach, maybe. The one thought I did have about this actually was going back to what happened with the conflict between Beijing, the Communist Party of China, and Hong Kong during the movement between Hong Kong going from British rule over to Chinese rule. That happened about 2 years ago now, and a lot of people at the time thought that the Chinese Communist government was going to come in and just smack down on everything. Hong Kong had like this autonomy, it had its own rules and regulations, and there was some thought that the Communist Party is going to come in and just squash that, and crypto obviously would be a part of that. So I think a lot of people were waiting for that to occur. Doesn't really seem like that quite happened. There was definitely like a lot of changes. There's a lot of ongoing democracy protests in the area to this day, and for good reason. But in terms of crypto, it doesn't seem like there's been a lot of change. And if they continue to push forward with like retail options or interactive brokers, things like that, there could be good things in the water for Hong Kong. I'll throw it over to you, Jen.
Yeah, it was so interesting for me to read this story, given what's happening in North America right now, right? The user experience part really stuck out to me. So as part of this product, clients are going to be able to invest in Bitcoin and Ether from a single platform. So that will be like, you go to one single dashboard, you see your Bitcoin, your Ether, your stocks, your options, your futures, your bonds. I really think that we've spoken about this a lot on the show, that this is kind of like the future of not only just retail investing, but professional investing. It was interesting to see this come out of Hong Kong, though, Will. I was going to ask you to do a little history corner, which you did, because as it's been accepting to crypto, I feel like regulation there has they've been pumping the regulatory brakes lately, and I wouldn't have expected to see this happen at this time, especially given what's going on with FTX. Yeah. I don't know. Do you think we're going to see more of this in Asia?
I think so. I think one thing we should also point out is that FTX was actually first based in Hong Kong, which is a little interesting note here. They had a trading firm based out of Hong Kong. They actually ran a lot of their operations out of that area as well. In terms of like Asian trading communities or the growth of crypto in Asia, it's difficult to put everyone on the same plane. I think geographically we might like to do that, like in the sense that we do that with the United States. But as anyone who knows, San Francisco, very different from New York. San Francisco, very different than London. San Francisco, very different than Berlin. It's just like that over in Asia. Singapore, Hong Kong, Tokyo. Like we often classify all these countries or these cities together for crypto adoption, but It's really quite different. Tokyo in Japan has a very strong regulatory regime, right? It's been there for a very long time. This goes back to the Mt. Gox era, where a lot of people lost a lot of Bitcoin. Japan came in, regulated the market very quickly. Singapore has been a little bit more loosey-goosey. That's why you see some people hanging out there. That's why you see some people with that a lot of people don't like investing in that area. But they're also like a little more free. So you do see a lot of startups boot up in Singapore. Hong Kong, I think, is sort of like a middle ground, and just in terms of how I think about these things. It has a lot of capital, it has strong rule of law, and it could be a good place for crypto startups to flock to.